Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. So we all know the importance of the beautiful sharp edge, the predictability and control that it gives us. And you can see these results, as you can see from my videos, are all just got with very simple techniques, and it's all very easy. But you'll also see that I've been doing everything freehand, and that's not for everybody. Not everybody necessarily wants to do it that way. So what I've got here in the background is a simple honing guide. Now, if you want to maybe not spend quite as much time woodworking, maybe you've got different commitments, you might not be able to build up the muscle memory required for sharpening. Personally, I don't think it would take you long, but I'm not a snob about it. You know, you've got to do what's right for you. So what we're going to do in this video is just take a little look at how we use a honing guide. Now, my strong recommendation for your honing guide is the number 36 Eclipse, or one of its various clones. If you just type that into Google, you'll find it. Number 36 side clamping honing guide. The Eclipse patent ran out years ago, and the Eclipse name is now just owned by a foreign company. So you're not doing any harm to anybody just buying a clone. They don't have to be perfectly machined. You don't have to faff about making lots of adjustments on these things, filing them and doing all that kind of stuff. It's not a precision engineered piece of kit. It was never designed to be, and it doesn't need to be precision engineered for woodworking. You've got a slot in the bottom here for where the chisels go, and you've got in the top here for where plane irons go. And it's got a pretty massive scope of adjustment. You know, that's going to take a very wide plane iron or a very wide chisel. But if you're average home woodworking, you're going to be working mainly on probably 2-inch plane irons and chisels up to about 25mm. Now, it won't do everything for you. If you really stick with woodworking and you get into it, it's more than likely you're going to get comfortable with freehand honing, and you might decide to put this to one side. But regardless, it's, you know, if you want to use one of these, you go for it. Now, on the side, you'll notice there's some information, and what it'll tell you is chisel projection and plane projection. It'll tell you how far your chisel will need to stick out to get your honing bevels on it. So for 30 degrees, you've got to let it stick out. It looks like it's 30mm here. So yeah, you just copy those off. It's that simple. Now, what I'm going to do is show you a very basic setup that I think is nice and straightforward and should give you pretty consistent results. With this piece of wood, I've screwed on a couple of battens which can support a sharpening stone. Any sharpening media could go into there. You know, I wouldn't necessarily put an oil stone case into this, but it is how it is. You know, you could put your diamonds, ceramics, whatever you want to do, your water stones. But you've got somewhere to hold a stone, which is great. And also those measurements that were given here, I've got a C there for chisel, P there for plane irons. And then what you're able to do is to put your chisel into this and then slide it up to where it needs to be on reference block. This saves so much time, because you can imagine measuring it every time is going to be very, very time consuming. So to set it up, and you're going to forgive me because I look more clumsy with these things than I would doing it freehand, because from my perspective it adds another hurdle that personally I genuinely don't need. Let's make sure it's all in where it should be. And it looks like it is. Now, you'll notice here that this jaw is slightly curved. You don't need to correct that, and you shouldn't correct that. It's curved for a purpose, as is this side here, whereas this one's a bit straighter. It's the bit of bias which just helps everything clamp up together as it should. Then what you want to do is just slide it up to your stop block. Just release a little bit of the pressure, slide it in, and there we go. No measuring, no faffing about. Just going to grab a screwdriver. Just gently add a bit of torque on the side. Don't crush a load of torque on there, because it's a nasty habit to apply too much torque to tools, because you're only going to damage it. You want to make sure it's not going to slip, and that's pretty much it. And then with the roller here, that just comes on, and again, put your roller on first and drop it down. And then all we need to do is apply pressure just at the tip there. And because it's kind of got a roller here, if we keep the pressure there You might find it's a bit easier on narrow stuff to just maybe draw it back. Or you might find it easier to have two hands over, put pressure on with fingers on both sides, and move them backwards and forwards like that, looking to raise a burr. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll drop it down a bit further so we can see a little bit clearer from another angle. Now, just because this isn't my preferred method, and you might read a lot of other people saying that honing guides, you know, it's not the thing to be doing, don't be put off. If this gives you the confidence to get going, then you go ahead. I personally find it more difficult. It removes feel and control that I've got. It prevents me using the full extent of my stones. It's just not for me. But, you know, we're all different. I can feel I've got a burr on the back. Again, this is where it becomes slightly different. You know, you could take this out and chase the burr a little bit, but, you know, you can also just about rest it on there and remove the burr. It's not ideal. Let me just reach over for that screwdriver. And we'll take the burr off. But you can see it makes the chisel, for me, feel a bit heavy and clumsy. Again, I don't really see the benefit, but a lot of people do. And I think, you know, if you're not getting on well with your sharpening, it can give you that kind of reset point to go with. Now, I wouldn't recommend using a honing guide on a strop. It's relatively simple to use a strop. Again, down and just up a little bit, just pulling backwards. Again, you don't have to go crazy with this. So don't be put off. If you read on the internet, you know, honing guides are training wheels and, you know, real woodworkers don't use them. Well, you define what you want to do and how you want to do it. Don't be put off by some guru type attitude of how you should be doing what you want to do. We've all got different situations. So I'll bring you over and we'll do a little test. I think it's always nice to show, well, that's a pretty sketchy edit right there. Kind of show you right away the results that you can expect. And there are some other good options out there. I think there's a couple of manufacturers spring to mind. I think Veritas do some various honing guides that you might want to consider. Lee Nielsen make one. I'm not sure how compatible the Lee Nielsen one is with other chisels. If you do know, do feel free to put that down below. It's obviously going to be a quality made piece of kit and the price is reflected in that. And that might be right for you at this time, it might not be. But the results, I'm going to assume, are pretty good. There we go. As you can see, completely perfect. And this gives you, if this gives you the confidence to just get on with things and do your woodworking, then why not? Like I said, for me, I'm more than happy to do freehand, but you know, we all want different things out of it. And if you want to buy a Lee Nielsen one, go for it. But for me, if you want to just get going, one of these number 36 Eclipse clones or the originals that you can still buy on eBay, they're perfect. A lot of things can be over-engineered these days, and I think these are just perfect. So thanks for tuning in and catch up soon.